is up for grabs in this final of the world's richest bonspiel. Winnipeg's Jeff Stoughton on the ice to face the defending FlexiCoil champion, Edmonton's Kevin Martin. The winner takes home $60,000. The loser will have to console himself and his team with just $40,000. Talk about your pennies from heaven. It's coming up next. After winning a couple of Canadian mixed championships and a Manitoba title, Winnipeg's Jeff Stoughton finally broke through in 1996, winning the Labatt Brier and the World Curling Championship. And today he gets ready to face an old curling foe. And that old foe has done this twice. Twice raised the Labatt Brier tankard. Kevin Martin winning in 91 and 97. And today he tries to win curling's richest prize for a second straight year. And what a prize it is. $150,000 split among the 8 qualifiers. But it's the $60,000 that goes to the champion. Stoughton came through the A-side undefeated. He beat Kerry Burtnick in the semifinal, while Martin was a B-side qualifier. Lost once, then beat Mick Peters and Ed Wernick in the semifinal to qualify. We're in Saskatoon for the FlexiCoil Curling Classic on TSN. From Saskatchewan place in Saskatoon, it's Stoughton against Martin for the $60,000 first prize. Welcome back to our continuing coverage as we join Linda Moore and Ray Turnbull.
What a terrific matchup. Kevin Martin, Jeff Stoughton. Who can forget those 3 games in the 96 Brier? Jeff having the upper hand. They played again in Regina this year, and also in the round robin here to qualify, Jeff Stoughton slam dunked them. But this is a new game, a new day, and it's money on the line, and it's the 4-rock rule.
Well, in 1992, the World Curling Federation decided they wanted more aggressive play in countries outside of Canada. And to do that, they brought in the 4-rock free guard zone rule, which we're going to see here today. And it is quite different from the Canadian rule. In the 4-rock case, no opposition stone, note that word opposition stone, lying in the free guard zone, that's the area between the hog line and the house, can be removed from play until after the first 4 stones of the end have come to rest. The hard part is the team with last rock trying to defend a lead. In this case, Jeff Stoughton at the World Championship is going to try and tick a stone over. Steve Gould throwing it because you can't move that yellow stone all the way out, but you can move it over. 2 in a row for Steve Gould in this particular situation. The perfect shot with the shooter rolling off and being taken away. Excellent way to defend the rule, but it is a little more difficult, and you do see a lot of stones coming to the middle of the sheet with this play.
And that's why they call him the tick man. Stevie does a great job with those shots, and he may need them today. These teams are very, very similar in lots of ways. They both have the ability to throw the big weight, but they can both go to the offense with the soft shots. Jeff Stoughton's a very streaky curler, and you know what Don Walkshaw can do with those stones with that big, big weight. He can clean it up. Should be a tremendous matchup.
Jeff Stoughton has already won more than $33,000 this year on the World Curling Tour. Remember, comments, questions, you can contact us on the internet, www.tsn.ca. Curling, Canada's most comprehensive curling coverage. The FlexiCoil is coming up on TSN.
Setting the standard for excellence since 1952, FlexiCoil is a Canadian company with vision. Through innovation and technology, we're becoming the global leader in seeding, tillage, and spraying equipment. We provide an advantage to farming partners in Canada and around the globe through our commitment to quality, service, and education. Together, we will lead seeding trends by providing customer-specific solutions. Experience what the world has already discovered. FlexiCoil, setting the standard.
97 FlexiCoil Curling Classic is brought to you by FlexiCoil, setting the standard. By Chrysler Canada, official sponsor of the Canadian Olympic team. by Dynamic Mutual Funds, your partner for dynamic performance. And by JVC, technically perfect, perfectly simple.
Jeff Stoughton, Kenny Tresser, Gary Vandenberg, Steve Gould. The Stoughton team from the Charleswood Curling Club in Winnipeg. Kevin Martin. His third is Don Walchuk. Rudy Ramcharan. And the lead is Don Bartlett, the reigning Canadian champions from the Otwell Curling Club in Edmonton, set to battle for the $60,000 first prize, $40,000 to the loser. We're playing right in the middle of Sask Place on Sheet C. Let's read the ice now with Ray.
Tim Yo and the crew here have given us a tremendous ice surface. It's been very consistent all week. Let's talk about going around the center guards, that rock out on the center line. And boy, do you ever see a lot of that. About 2.5 feet of movement with both turns. We'll just clear that. Yes, you can get around the corners, but you sure don't see a lot of corner guard play anymore because of this 4-rock rule. Most of the play is in the center area. Now, there's a slide path area at the edge of the 4-foot here, and we had a little trouble with this area through the week as the building got warmer, but this is an afternoon draw. It's the first game, and I don't expect to see any flattening out of the pebble. However, when you do throw down this line and step the weight up, it'll run pretty straight, so you have to be careful. There's no frost buildup whatsoever, and the weight out here is pretty consistent as well. Maybe a little faster down the center, but not much. Tremendous ice surface. This should be another really good curling game.
The players have gone through their pregame warm-ups, final slides before they take the ice surface for this final. Let's check on some of the ice speeds with Linda, brought to you by Dynamic Mutual Funds.
We measure the ice speed by timing a stone between the hog lines, and as we watch this game, watch for the perfect takeout at 9 seconds. Hack weight's about 12 seconds. Draw 14 seconds down the middle, maybe a little bit slower on the sides, 13.5 seconds, and the guard up to 16 seconds, and those are the tough ones. When it really starts to slide, it's hard to put up those guards, but they're going to be key today with the 4-rock rule in play.
You always talk about the personal matchups at positions, and you have 4 terrific players on both Stoughton and Martin teams. At the lead position, the veteran Don Bartlett for the Martin team, and the tick man Steve Gould, 25 and a world champion in 1996. Rudy Ramcharan earned a lot of respect in his first year of competition, major competition with Martin, last year winning the Canadian Championship. Gary Vandenberg still with this Stoughton team. Don Walchuk, of course, he played so many great years with Pat Ryan, winning Canadians and World Championships, and then adding championship with Martin against a really quiet player, but does he know how to play? Kenny Tresser. And then there's Kevin Martin at the age of 31 and Jeff Stoughton, 34, both Canadian champions. However, Stoughton has one leg up in his that he has won a World Championship. We're ready to play this final. Stoughton will play red, Stones, Martin yellow, and I think a key, as you suggest, is Stoughton has the hammer.
Well, I really think that, they flipped for the hammer in this situation, and Jeff won that flip, and it's, I don't know about you, Linda, but I just like that first end control myself, and you can do a number of things. This rock is slips into the rings. Actually, Kevin wanted that just 5 or 6 inches short of the rings on the center line. But it's in the control zone. But because it's in the rings, as we know, it can be removed from play, and that's exactly what Stevie Gould is about to do.
I actually think Kevin asked for it in, Ray, and I know the first indication was just a little bit short, but it was because the players were saying they thought it was a little light. I think Kevin wants to see what Jeff is going to do and see if he'll force the issue first. So he brought it in. He's going to obviously play some hits here because that first one is in. It's going to be interesting to see who will make the first move. I don't think they'll wait as long, perhaps, as the women did yesterday.
Well, it's interesting here because if they hit this one on the nose, he might not be in the rings.
He might not, and with this rule, as opposed to the Canadian rule, it still cannot be completely removed from play.
It's when you did the comparisons from one team to the other, Vic, it's really interesting. The front ends are, from a mechanical point of view, from the throwing aspects of the game, I think the front ends are very, very, even. They might have a Rudy maybe being only his second year in this level of competition, there might be a little bit of an edge there, but certainly not much. But one of the things about the front end of Jeff Stoughton is they are so physically strong. Physically, they worked hard on their upper bodies this year. This team in particular did a lot of dry land training this year, which is curlers have been a little lax in some of those areas, I think, Linda. Maybe not the women's team. Some of the women's teams work pretty hard, but some of the men's teams really don't do some of the physical training they maybe should do. This team went to work on that, and of course it's all aimed to Brandon. It's all because they know what a big carrot there is there, and this particular front end is very physically strong. They're both big boys, and when they lean on that little wooden brush, I'll tell you, they lean on it. Very similar to your style of brushing, Vic.
Yes. Yeah.
However, the
brush doesn't.
The pebble is affected when they do brush.
The brush doesn't bend very much when I.
You can get the odd ash out of the way. That's a lot.
Both these teams, of course, will be in Brandon in 2 weeks' time for the Olympic curling trials by virtue of their Canadian championships. 96 for the Stoughton rink this past season. 97 by Martin.
The reason for the sliding brush that you see that Gary Vandenberg is, he felt that when he had his hand on the brush on the ice, it dipped one shoulder. It brought one shoulder down a little lower than he wanted. He wanted to stay square at all times, so he had that brush designed for him so he could keep his shoulders square and higher. So that's the reason for that, and he really thinks he likes it.
No, I know, no, I'm just throwing this out at you. But would you, in fact, he's put the little brush head on the end of it. Could you, in fact, not do that, or is there a rule, Linda, do you think? Get the book out. Do you, in fact, have to have something with a brush head on the end of it?
Well, I mentioned it yesterday. The only time I've ever heard a really serious discussion about limiting somebody from using a tool that could not potentially be used to sweep is Stevie Brown in the U.S. Apparently, I'd heard that because his brush that he throws with has no bristles, they actually stopped him from using it as a throwing tool at one championship. That's the only time I've ever heard of it, but when you read the rule, it does indicate it's a broom or brush that you throw with. So I don't know how far you could go before they would either make a rule or enforce a rule about that.
Right up, looks good. Shot. Okay, Gary, good. Good shot.
Here, let's take a look at the delivery now. He's good and square right here. Across there, watch his shoulders throughout the delivery. Takes it back, stays good and square, uses the trunk lift. Now, no backswing. Freeze it right there if you can. Once again, because of this hand being here, in this position here, and not down on the brush, he feels it keeps the shoulders a lot square. He stays high, and he'll use a body extension as he releases.
Well, you know what you notice? His hands, both hands, one on the stone, one on the brush, are parallel to the shoulders.
An eye of a hawk. You have an eye of a hawk. You're unbelievable. You're getting better every year.
Yeah, but I wondered, though, consciously, if in fact the level of that brush now is at the level of the stone handle.
Well, it's pretty close, yeah.
Well, if you watch now, Ken Tresser throws with the broom in a more traditional way. I would say some players throw it flat on the ice, the broom, but he throws it up behind his back. And so that automatically gets the hand in that approximate position. It's only when you have the broom flat on the ice that you then have that distortion of the shoulders that Gary is working on.
Right up,
Exactly.
tight as you can. Get it over there. Yeah, that's good.
And it's a theory, and it's just one that he felt. He also uses he doesn't use the legs as much, Linda. Gary doesn't use as much like that. The only danger, and we'll just discuss this as we are in an end where there isn't a lot of play. One of the dangers I feel is that when you take a lot. Now the Tucker has made a conscious decision to have a three-point balance structure by the high on the toe, the back leg, and the brush. Where someone who throws from a flat position, or what we refer to as a balanced delivery, there's the flash.
By Donnie Walchuk, so something to go behind now in what has been a very open end.
When you throw from the balanced position, you actually are using the legs to control the body. In other words, you're not depending on the brush for the balance. It's there as a maybe a balance helper, but you're not, it's not a crutch is what I'm trying to say. And the legs are working. Now, I feel that the more, and you see it in curlers throughout the season, as they throw, they become more dependent on that brush, and as a result, they have a hard time sliding down their lines because the legs are not doing the work. All of a sudden, they're relying on the brush for more balance control. So I think there's a little danger there, and I talked to Gary about that, and he says, well, you could be right, but I just feel it keeps my shoulders square.
Hard for line.
Don't want to get too technical, but that's kind of the...
Right up, guys. Come on.
Steve Gould and Gary Vandenberg on this stone by Ken Tresser.
All right.
Can't sneak it around, and now there's two, and they're overlapped. Something for Kevin Martin to get behind. We hope you'll appreciate our innovation for this year's curling. Our constant reminder of rocks in play, as well as the score.
What are we looking
the
at?
red dot means the hammer.
Hey?
Something new for our most comprehensive curling coverage.
I appreciate it. I can keep track of last rock.
Ray certainly appreciates it.
The guy makes a couple of mistakes in 12 years. And this is interesting. Kevin could actually get those two guards off, but he's got two shots, of course, and this is his first. He'll go in and defend against the corner guard by being there first. Now you've got to keep this in front of the tee line.
Line's good. Come on, hard line. Come on. It'll look real bad. Come on.
Okay, the nice thing for Kevin is he saw Ken's line the stone before this, and it did curl nicely.
Okay, line's good. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Just need a corner tuck so they can't get a roll.
Good shot.
Note a little bit on this there.
We've really been pleased about the interactive mail we've been getting. This one from Dave Banman of Winnipeg. I'm thinking of attending the Olympic trials in Brandon. Who do I contact for tickets? We have an answer for you. Keystone Center in Brandon. There are the dates, and for tickets you can call 204-571-2000. But hurry, because there are a limited number of tickets left.
They're hot, and it'll be an if you love curling, we're going to be there, and if you're not able to attend, we'll be there twice a day with the most comprehensive coverage in curling. But if you're in the area at all, you shouldn't miss it. It's going to be a tremendous show. And Brandon, as we know, they've held the Scott Tournament Hearts, they held the world, and they just know how to organize, coordinate, and run a curling event of that magnitude, and it'll be a wonderful week. I don't anticipate there being any fun. We can't possibly have any fun there.
Right over.
Reed Lombard wouldn't allow us to have fun.
Right over.
As a participant in the 1987 trials, I can tell you they will not be a bad game, because as a player, you knew game in, game out, you're going to be faced with a very close contest, and you had to be up for every game.
Well, you know, and that's a nice roll by Jeff. It makes Kevin play this big weight peel shot. He'd like to roll back into the rings. Maybe Jeff will stick and force Jeff to take a single. But, you know, it doesn't matter what bonspiel you go to, you go and look at the draw, right, Linda? And you go to the draw and you say, oh, gee, I got to play him. If I can just get by him, well, yeah, but these two guys play, that's no problem. When you look at the draw, we spent, producer Dave Tredget and you and I spent about, an hour on the phone trying to decide about and go over the draw one day, and it's just, there's game after game. It's hard to decide who to cover, but we'll try and give it all to you, and it's
Nice
exciting.
shot.
It's really easy to be excited about being there.
So Martin with his final stone, sits tee line 12, and now Stoughton will look to blank this first end of play. Jeff Stoughton, who won Canadian Mixed Championships in '88 and '91, and then was the Manitoba champion in '91. Went to the Labatt Brier in Hamilton that year, and then broke through, of course, as we say, in '96.
Interesting enough about that Hamilton Brier, that one particular game that Jeff Stoughton played Kevin Martin at the Hamilton Brier may have been one of the games that really solidified the fact that we needed a rule change. Remember that game, Linda, Vic?
Very wide open.
Kevin got two in the first end with a great hit and roll, and Jeff couldn't get in. Kevin drew to the side of the button for his extra point, and then we had 8 straight blank ends.
Yeah, well, we have a blank end to start this one, but there's no doubt that Martin and Stoughton in '91 may have helped change the face of curling forever.
Finally, fresh squeezed taste in a bottle. Tropicana Pure Premium Single Size. Perfect.
You know, there's a remarkable new tool right now at Canadian Tire that makes a lot of existing tools seem outdated. I'm talking about RoboGrip pliers from Mastercraft. You see, RoboGrip's special design allows it to self-adjust to most any size job with a simple squeeze of the handles.
That's right. No screws or levers to set, Just squeeze and turn. Plus, it's spring-loaded for one-handed operation, not like these regular pliers.
And it comes in 2 sizes, so it's perfect for most any job. Rounded nuts, pipes, flat surfaces, irregular shaped objects. And its offset head allows for easy access to those tight spots.
And RoboGrip's laminated jaw construction makes it so strong, it comes with a lifetime warranty.
The new self-adjusting Mastercraft RoboGrip is so versatile, you'll find it indispensable in your house, your garage, even in the garden. So don't wait. Get your RoboGrip pliers today. Available exclusively at Canadian Tire.
8-ender, the choice of champions bring you the Transformer, the brush that will transform your game. The fiberglass handle is lightweight yet indestructible, and its comfortable grip makes sweeping easier. The head can be adjusted to right or left angled sweeping to keep you closer to the rock, ensuring ultimate control and performance. And the heads are replaceable, easily changed from synthetic to horsehair or hog hair, so you can take on any ice conditions. The Transformer, available at fine sporting goods stores.
We had a blank in this first end of play. Men's final, the FlexiCoil Curling Classic from Sask Place in Saskatoon. $60,000 goes to the winner. And the Martin lead is Don Bartlett, who wants to say hello to his grandfather, Bert Bartlett, in Corner Brook, Newfoundland. We say hello to Mr. Bartlett as well. Pleased to do that.
Easy, easy. We got lots. Lots of weight. We're in the rings, probably.
The call was outside, I think, wasn't it?
This one was,
yeah,
for sure.
I think so.
It's good.
Top 8. All right. It's good. All right. We'll sweat.
Jeff's going to wait.
There are some teams that are fairly predictable about the call in this case. I think Jeff, we've seen him play both ways to keep it clean or to go more aggressively. The team he beat, Kerry Burtnick, in the semifinals, Ray, he, I don't think, has ever called a hit on this rock. He steps up there and throws that corner guard faster than you can say corner guard.
Well, they had a game during the round robin, Eddie Wernick and Kerry Burtnick, and actually had a couple of games. And the score was 10-10 going into the final end.
On the way over here, you were suggesting to me, Ray, that this will be difficult. It'll be a great game if, in fact, they stay close. But if one team gets a jump on the other, then it becomes, despite the rule, very defensive.
Well, what happens, like when I mentioned in the opening comments, that, I said that Jeff Stoughton slam dunked Kevin Martin. Well, he did, but in fairness, what happened was Kevin got down a couple, so now he has to really, really go after it and take some big chances. And when those chances don't work, you really get beat up badly. But that's the way the game should be played. And that can happen in a game like this, especially with the 4-rock rule. And you can get you get the chance to get back because you got the 2 stones in front, but boy, if those shots don't work after the fact, you give up another 2 or another 3 and bang, it's over.
I think the concern with the Canadian rule, and people might wonder why the rules are different, but in 1992 the World Curling Federation brought in the one rule. Canada studied it, and they decided that there was so much play to the middle, and the fact that the team with last rock did lose quite a bit of the advantage, it seems, from having the last rock. So that's why Canada came in with the 3-rock rule. And it is, when the rocks get near the middle and it's constantly these come arounds, sometimes you can just get into a terrible situation and get 3 or 4 counted against you and even stolen against you with the 4-rock rule.
Yeah, and the people that argue for the 4-rock rule, and they make a good point. They say, from a spectator point of view, there's so many rocks in play and it's just more entertaining. And it is, but we find that with the 3-rock rule, you get that. There's more pressure on your lead, I'll tell you that, with the 3-rock rule. Whoops.
Gary Vandenberg.
That's that outside-in shot, Linda, we talked about. It runs very straight. If you put it back at all, with the 3-rock rule, that you got that one miss, you got that rock in play, and so there's still lots of corner guard play and lots of offense. So it's, I'm sure there's arguments for both sides. But I personally like our rule.
Lots of weight.
Wow. Not too deep.
This is interesting, the fact that the one miss is there. Kevin has to decide where to put this rock, and of course, the fact that he doesn't have last rock means he doesn't want to go wide and get the kind of separation you might see with a second stone coming in. So that's a nice shot, edge of the button.
Couple options. Jeff can hit this, what he's going to do, and try and roll over here. There's a possibility. We could also, if he wanted, hit the shot rock and try and roll the other way.
Well,
use it as a corner guard.
Good.
I did mention yesterday as well, arena ice is a little more difficult to play the outside in hit. And the fact that those ones are straighter, and sometimes, not in this case, at least as yet, there is frost. There's no frost out there. These hits from the outside in, as Kevin is about to play for his team, are a little more difficult, especially when you're trying to get the roll or the double takeout towards the center line.
Yep.
Well, there's the answer, whether you were wondering whether it's in or out.
And we saw Don Walchuk in the first end miss a takeout, and that's very unusual. It was a simple takeout in that situation. And we often see him make doubles galore, so I'd be surprised if we saw him miss another one soon.
Great shot, Don.
Look at this roll. Right over on top, going to cover a piece of it. Does cover a corner.
Shot, Don.
It's interesting that teams are fairly similar in many ways. One of the big differences is at the third position, and the Jeff Stoughton team really relies on Ken Tresser and the soft touch. The Stoughton team, especially Jeff, when he's hot, he's on a streak often, as he was in 1996, and you'll see him play very well. In the front end, watch the brushing. Watch in this case, here's Ken Tresser playing a takeout, but they're very good sweepers, very strong, and very good at communicating. They can make a huge difference on the third and skip rocks.
Now that's an interesting example right there, Linda. As you mentioned, there's Ken Tresser playing a double with quiet, controlled weight. What kind of weight do you think Don Walchuk would have played for that double?
Oh, we'd be lifting our feet.
Yeah, we'd move back a bit.
And that's why when you look at Team Martin, that is the major difference we see off the bat. Don Walchuk at third, he can throw the big weight. He is asked often to make the doubles. Kevin Martin's a little unpredictable with the offense, so he may rely on the big weight. He may go to the soft touch, as he did yesterday with Ed Wernick playing a key freeze that got him that game. And so you really have to watch yourself when you're playing Kevin Martin, and don't get trapped into thinking that he's going to be one-sided with his offense.
Now, you make a good point, Linda. In that particular end, Eddie spread his rocks out, thinking that Kevin would probably play the hit, and Kevin just kind of crossed him up a little bit and went around and froze to the face of stone, took a possible two-ender away from Eddie. I think if Eddie thought he was going to play that quiet shot, he would have gone around himself, the front stone.
And kind of a funny thing, the last point about Kevin Martin is he is an ice maker, and he is very aware of the ice surfaces, and especially the stones, Ray. And you had looked at the stones that they had chosen for this game, and I know they were allowed in this particular game to pick any stone they wanted of the color to make the set of 8. And Kevin was very careful about that.
It's really a good point you make, too, Lou. And he is very conscious of stones. I think sometimes it works against him. He's maybe a little bit too much that way. For example, you know, he's using 6 and 7 stone from sheet E, and Don's using the 5 and 6 stone. There's a comment right there about the stone. And Rudy's using 7 and 5 from B, and Don is using 7 and 8 from A. So they really are very stone conscious, whereas the Stoughton team, they really didn't have a preference. To be honest, they chose 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and Gary Vandenberg said to me, I guess because those guys took 1-2, I took 3-4. You know, so it doesn't mean they don't watch them. And Kevin said that, Jeff did say, however, he said that's one of the problems of winning A side is you don't get to play very much, but I'll take the problem.
Yeah, have the day off. That's right. Well, there's a nice way to get your draw weight. Right on the button, right on the FlexiCoil.
Now, if in fact he asked for that stone, he wanted to look at that stone, he said. If it comes down to a draw shot and he knows it, will he tuck that one back and save it for his last stone?
I think so, definitely. Even if there isn't a huge difference between the stones mentally, it's wonderful to have seen that stone land right on the button.
I just think that sometimes it can work against you too, Linda.
No. Yep.
Boy, they've had some great matchups. Those 3 games in the Briar were just marvelous.
Kevin Martin, the 5-time Alberta champion, 2 times Labatt Brier winner, but at an international level, he has struggled. His closest to winning the World Championship was a 2nd place, losing in the final to Scotland's David Smith in 1991.
Clean. Hurt. Hard. Okay.
Hard.
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 Good, good.
Shot.
Well, in these first 2 ends, they've seen a lot of parts of the sheet. They've played the side shots as well as the center shots. So when they do make their move, I think they're going to be fairly confident about the stones and the ice, on how much ice to take for a certain shot.
That was a clean toss, eh?
Huh?
That was a clean toss at you?
That was good, yeah.
Don doesn't seem too impressed.
He's so great. He's such a terrific person. He really is. He's so casual, and he works so well with Kevin. You know, Kevin's a very different personality, as they all are, but in their own right. But Don just works so well with them. And
he's won 3 Briars with 2 different skips.
Yeah.
Don Walchuk, he has done a lot for his various teams, and he's very supportive of them.
that's pretty well your answer too, isn't it? How how valuable he is.
A 2nd straight blank. Stoughton maintains control of the hammer when we come back to Sask Place.
Setting the standard.
We've had a beautiful couple of days here in Saskatoon. Cool and crisp, little bit of ground frost this morning, but really no big taste of winter yet in this part of Saskatchewan. 2 blank ends. So this is the Kevin Martin lead. Don Bartlett to get us going here in this 3rd.
Yep. Definitely looks like guard weight.
Hurry for line.
It's dying.
Hurry for line.
Kevin? No, we're okay. Yeah, we'll keep it near center if we can.
Yeah.
It's too high.
Okay.
It's too long, I think. Kevin wanted it tighter.
Shot.
Jeff is just cleaning up the ice a little bit. They're very conscious of any marks on the ice, not just debris. We remember back to Calgary, the Briar, they were often looking at footprints on the ice from the grippers and the soles of shoes, making little marks and causing the stones to react differently.
The one thing that Stevie and Gary are absolutely adamant about is that people keep their hands off the ice surface. And they're very quick to tell their opposition if they, if they put their hands down or lie in the ice for any length of time, because that does melt down, break down, and you end up with flat spots on the ice surface, which can definitely affect the running course of the stone. So they're a team that's very conscious of that.
2 out in front.
Short's not bad.
It's on now.
Just short to in. But the line
Yeah, short's good.
Yeah.
Top 4 is better.
Okay.
Don Bartlett.
I don't think that's a lot. Huh?
Watch it close.
This is where the pressure is on the lead. We do have 2 front stones. This one could be anywhere up to top 4, but it can't be deep. If it's a little bit short even, it can be used. It can be promoted in later.
Also bring it right in. That's good.
Shot, Don. Nice shot.
Oh, very nice. Bites top 4, center line. Look at that.
There's a great indication of the amount of curl around the center guards coming with the intern side.
Steve Gould.
Weight's good.
Yep.
So why do these teams use a stopwatch?
The beginning part of the path?
No, I don't think I see anybody who are using a stopwatch.
I see.
Over, Gary.
Yeah, Gary has a watch.
They don't use
They
it
don't use
very
it all the
much.
time.
Teams will use them for a variety of
Steve.
reasons, and I think some
Wanted
of
to
these
roll
players
away,
just do it to track any changes in the ice as opposed to transferring the information about draw weight. They go more by feel.
You know what's going to happen next.
Sports, nothing more than that.
Rudy Ramcharan works for Nico Systems.
Hey, close, clean. Hurry. Hard! 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 Real hard. It's going. Okay. All right, Rude.
Shot, Rude.
Good rock.
Boy, it really moved on him.
We will keep track of the two sides of the sheet in that case because we've now seen a draw and a takeout with that side curl. They may use it a lot later.
Same shot, tap it back. He wants to get the Yellowstone in the forefoot open a little bit, so he wants the roll of the shooter away a bit. So he doesn't mind if Gary pushes this into the open. Kevin then plays the hit. He'll go after the shot rock.
Gary Vandenberg works for Principal Accounting.
Hard! Hurry! Good.
Good shot here.
Very nice.
It was plan B, really, but it worked out better than plan A.
Oh, we can come here, I guess.
Rip one of them.
Want to rip them?
The red one, anyway.
Or drive the yellow
Trying
back.
to make it straight back, then.
Why not drive the yellow back?
This is good. This is good.
It's a democracy.
Why not drive the yellow one back and hope that the yellow one's behind cover?
Well, if you don't drive it back, you leave the red one covered too, but by playing the red one.
Well, off. Jeez, might be on the back one.
Uh-oh.
That's why I like hitting ours.
Yeah.
Hindsight, eh?
Yeah.
Short. On the wrong side. No, right here. Well.
Patience is a game that you have to play, and this team is very patient.
So is that, in fact, why he's doing this, Linda, not going in and putting the one out in front?
Line's good.
There's a couple of reasons why he's not going in, and one of them is he knows who he's playing, and Don Walchuk's about to throw. If you bring this in too tight and leave the wrong angle, you're going to see rocks flying. So they're just going to try and continue to set it up in the best position they can and prevent a big shot against them.
Just want to get it up. Wanted to curl a little bit more, but it's a good shot.
Board weight, see if you can get almost to the nose. Finish is pretty hard. We might be able to get the double.
Huh?
Just board weight. Try to stick right here if we can.
Because they need this finish, in other words, they need a little bit of a curl, they can't throw the up weight. They have to throw the board weight, the quieter weight.
Top one?
I think Don wants to run the yellow one back. He's just looking at them.
I think we got to get something in front here.
Don, as Linda mentioned, wanted to maybe run this one back into this area here. Of course, he's famous for those kind of kills.
Words?
Kevin said, let's get around it here, and if you get a little movement in this area here, you might catch the double. And probably more importantly, he wants a Yellowstone out there, Linda.
Something that could be promoted back onto shot rock later.
It's good. Clean.
Don's company is Moss Lawson.
Finish.
He made 3 doubles in the game yesterday.
Finish. Finish.
Didn't finish much.
No.
Okay. Not a bad spot for it.
Not a bad spot for it because Kevin likes things that he can come in off of if he has to.
Yeah, here's good. It's tight.
Same shot. a little bit of curl. So you can just get it a little bit behind the long yellow guard. Not leaving too much of the back when exposed. And Kenny gets lots of action on his stones usually. He has lots of rotation with a fingertip release. He kind of starts everything a little bit.
How's the weight?
Ken represents Federated Insurance.
Come on, come on! Hard! Curling too much. Come on, full bite, full bite. Don't count the back one. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Good.
Left too much of the shot rock exposed.
Didn't want it to curl. And that's what I was referring to, Linda, is that because of his release, he'll get a little bit more actions out of the stones than some other curlers will.
Kind of weight.
More action, for example, than Don Walchuk does.
So then as a skip, do you have to account for that in your ice calls?
You have to adjust, give a little more ice.
So be careful now when you remove that one, you don't drive it back onto that stone there.
Oh, I can see 3/4 in there.
Yikes.
Was I big last time, or? Hey? Same weight?
Sure. Yeah, nothing more.
Yeah.
Don Walchuk.
Hurt.
Hard!
How's the weight? Whoa. Yep.
Whoa!
Bartlett nearest to the stone.
Hurry, can't jam the
Ramcharan is
back.
out in front.
Hard. Doesn't want to jam the back one. That's what I showed you. Exactly what he didn't want. Yeah, that's you got to go now with it. Get it out of there. Little roll in front of your other.
Yeah, we had to get that past the back.
Normal.
Took away their biter.
Beautiful.
Redstones are piling up here in this third. Remember now, Stoughton after 2 blanks in 1 and 2 does have the hammer here in this third.
Close. Hit! Whoa! Whoa! Whoa, whoa.
Good.
He's a good one, I'll tell you. He is a good one.
At this point, Kevin's saving grace is those yellow stones out in front. If he can get a roll behind them, he can take this end away.
You can get the double, as you mentioned, Linda, by hitting this one here and catching that one on the way by. The big thing is what you want to do is get the roll over into this area here.
Oh, good.
Try and take the end away.
Skip stones to come here in this third.
Playing it with a very straight turn outside in. You'll see pretty big weight on this.
Yep.
Kevin's curling supplies in Edmonton.
Hard! Hard!
There's the hit. There's the roll. Jump all over it. Drag it. Jump it.
Great roll.
Beauty.
That is a game saver.
Shot, Skippy.
Can you see it at the intern? No, there's a rock out in front, yeah.
This is the weapon we talk about. Both Don Walchuk and Kevin Martin throw the big weight accurately, take little ice, rely on the sweepers to hold the line, and get the big roll.
Wonderful shot.
He makes a double peel. We just hit that one.
4-0 lead every goddamn time we play him.
Play intern.
Double peel. Try and get them both off.
Have to cover that yellow.
Well, probably will. Good lesson. Good. Yeah.
Just trying to open it up, or is he trying to run something back?
He's talking about the double peel, trying to get both the yellow rock and the red rock off. And there may be some action from the red stone. You never know where it'll go. It could go back onto the yellow. But
Jeff works for Air Canada.
Hip. Whoa, 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 whoa. Right off. Right off.
Good.
Little action on the other yellow they were worried about. Not bad.
not bad at all.
Or just hit the stick.
Okay. I don't know if you can, yeah, okay.
What's that?
Yeah. You can see it all?
I can see all plus 4 inches.
Okay.
Nose is great.
Okay.
Lie to.
That's a little too much ISO for my intern. Yeah. What's that? Still
Great.
a lot of ice, isn't it?
A great roll, turn that end around.
Your intern's not going to curl.
Just a touch less ice, Don. Yeah, that's probably more like it. It will go once you get out here a little wider.
Whoa,
Final stone of this third end for Kevin Martin.
Stay close.
Whoa.
Oh. Okay, take the double. Take the double. It's got it.
Oh, boy.
Sure does. 4. Huh.
Now line 3.
Isn't that something?
Amazing turnaround.
After facing 4 with his first.
It's going to be too heavy. If it over curls, bump it in.
He was right. It is a little bit straight out here. Played the in-turn and knew the angle. They know the angles well, both of these teams, and are always ready for that plan B, which worked out great.
Oh, man. Fun and games, eh?
They were sitting 4 a minute ago.
Seemed to break pretty hard at the end.
Thanks, Ken.
That end around in
Pure survival.
2 great shots by Kevin Martin. The first one in particular was just a sensational shot because Jeff had no alternative but to play when he played. Trying to get the front off.
Mark. Back 8.
Now this should run pretty straight down here. It's just playing back. 8-foot weight, almost draw weight.
Yep, for line. Line's good. Hard for line. Hard for line.
Look at Gould.
Hard.
Closest to the stone, Vandenberg out in front. Really have to work hard now to get by that guard. Really have to work it.
Okay.
1 or 2. It's a steal of 1 for sure. I think it's 1.
Tall muzzle measure.
Measure, yeah.
They'll measure to see if it's a steal of 1.
I thought I threw that about normal.
Or 2.
I thought I threw that normal.
A little more.
Hey?
Well, Kevin Martin's 2 great shots. His race suggests that
5 inches.
first one, the hit and roll
red,
against
but-
4.
Isn't it? No?
No, shit, no, it's yellow, man.
Is it?
Well, I don't know. I'm blind as you. But
Kevin thinks it's his.
I think it's red, but
it's like yellow, actually. It looks like.
Really?
I think so.
It's a dramatic turnaround regardless. As it looked like Stoughton was going to pick up a bunch. Now he's given up 1. Certainly. Maybe 2.
And you said it was what? You said it was red too, Vic?
I said it was red. I think it's red, yeah. It's yellow. Wow. From looking like he was going to give up 4, he steals 2. Martin's on top early.
There's a reason a certain organization chose Plymouth Breeze for its people. Compared to Honda Civic, the Breeze offers a lot more car for the money. There's a larger engine, longer wheelbase, and plenty of room for kids, dogs, and all your stuff, which is important because it makes it real easy to pack up and go, especially when you're in a hurry.
Every day, the Canadian national rowing team strives for performance excellence. At Dynamic Mutual Funds, our team of dedicated money managers share information about the best value investment opportunities at home and around the world. For over 40 years, powered by partnership, driven by performance. Dynamic Mutual Funds, your partner for dynamic performance.
Beginning Monday, November 17th, TSN has no limits. Join the adventure and challenge the extreme. Catch the season premiere of No Limits, Monday, November 17th, right here on TSN.
There are a lot of different names Chrysler Canada vehicles can go by. But for maintenance service, there's only one name you need to know to keep them going. Whether it's on the track, off the track, or on the road. The one name that knows your vehicle best. Chrysler 5-star service. Only at your local Chrysler dealer. Great people, great service.
Kevin Martin was facing 4 when he threw this husky tee shot.
Real hard.
Well, it's a tremendous shot. It's turned the whole end around. He gets the perfect roll in behind the rocks out in front, and Jeff had no alternative but try and peel the front off. Kevin hit the second shot, actually got the double, was lying 3, and then we saw what happened with the draw.
Kevin Martin is the defending FlexiCoil champion, and he has the lead going to 4. Jeff Stoughton
bring it in.
from the Charleswood Curling Club in Winnipeg has the hammer.
That's good.
Good shot.
Good shot.
Corner guard. Well, this is where a team that's down the 2 and has to getting themselves back in the game really has to execute, Linda. Otherwise, you can really get beat up badly, like I mentioned earlier in the program.
Because so much of the play is going to come to the center, at least that's what the Martin team is going to try and do. Jeff Stoughton has to be careful. He's going to set up corner guards. You're going to notice they're not going to go as wide with these guards. And he's going to hope at some point he can get at the rocks in the middle and get a little bit of a roll behind that red stone.
The stones aren't sliding as freely as they were, and certainly in the practice, Linda. I just don't know if it's maybe a little warmer in here than we all expected. But they don't seem to be gliding. Like, I watched the practice pretty closely because we were on the ice. No, I think you and I talked during the commercial break that I think Kenny, Jeff underthrew that
probably
one.
Probably to it, at least, bumping it.
He talked about back 8-foot away, but I don't think he even had that.
And as we're looking at the sheet, I do think going away, the left side is going to curl from the outside in, and the right side not as much. And that means the curl also drags some of the speed off the stone. So you have to be always aware of that.
Back.
Steve Gould.
Jeff is going to try and utilize all the stones in play, including the yellow stones. He's just going to tap these yellow rocks back and try and build up a bit of a wall at the back of the house, making his rocks more difficult to be removed. He'll look for little rolls as well if he can get them.
A little light.
Hey, Steve.
Steve is light. A little more weight he needed there.
Just board weight, Rude.
But as you see, this brings up the point you made earlier, Ray, about the fact that now you start punching these stones around, you leave them in the house. Suddenly, you're not scoring 3, you're giving up 3.
Come on, dog, take it across the line. Come on. Come on. Hard. Hard.
Gotta go hard, boys. Hard not to jam.
He got that started. He got away with it a bit. He definitely got that going.
The numbers through 3 for the 2 seconds.
No. Let's bump it back.
Just hit those.
As Linda mentioned, though, Gary, Jeff wants to keep all the rocks in play he can.
Hard for line.
Weight's good.
Hard. Lots. Well, okay. Lots? Through. There you go.
They want that Yellowstone to stop in the rings in the back 8 foot, back 12 foot.
Same shot, same throw.
What's he want?
Rudy Rumsharan.
Okay.
Little more
better.
weight.
Line's better this time.
Whoa.
Lots of room.
Whoa.
Clean. Hurt.
Hard.
Well, off, Don. Off.
Shot, Rude.
Shot, Rude.
Those ones will bring the percentage up a little bit for Rudy.
We need last.
You got a little more weight there.
Yeah, a little crisper
Same weight.
throw, too.
Hit and roll.
And of course, we have to remember Gary being left-handed. This is his out turn.
Well.
A hair less.
Well. Hip. Well. Hip. Well. 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 Oh. Good shot.
To roll in behind that
Huh?
Yellowstone.
Good shot. Yeah. Okay.
It's Walchuk versus Tresser.
And the first end, Don did flash that open hit, so that really brought his percentage down to begin with. Last end had a bit of a mistake as well.
It's really the scoreboard that counts, though, isn't it?
Do you like the out turn?
Well, he's
Well,
pretty
no,
thankful for his skip in the last
Okay.
end.
He
Sounds
sure
good.
is.
Just thinking it.
Just pondering.
Hopefully it doesn't overcurl.
Two nothing. Martin leading. This is Don Walchuk.
Stay close, though. Yep. Hope. Hope. Yep. Hard. Whoa. Oh. Nice shot.
Yeah, he takes it. Doesn't miss very many.
No, you
That's
may
all
have
right.
seen his 2 misses for this game. That's the scary thing about him.
That's right.
If you don't pounce on them when you get them, then Kevin just played a tremendous hit and roll.
You guys like it?
What, here?
You can roll that way.
Sure.
Well, Jeff was going to come around the 2 yellow stones to the top of the
Up a
4
bit.
foot, and he's decided to. Kenny Tresser wants to play the hit on the front one. I'm not sure. It's Kenny's first stone.
I don't think Ken was worried about making the draw. I think he maybe was worried about leaving those Yellowstones there for the Martin team.
Got exactly what he wanted.
Good.
I think with your first stone, maybe that's a good call by Ken. You know, if it was maybe your second stone, it would be different. But gets
Okay, what's draw weight?
The secret here, Vic, is that with that shot, they open the 4 foot completely, so that if all goes bad, Jeff can get back in.
Save is one.
Yeah, save is one. You really get a little nervous when that control zone is covered up. Front of the tee line's important here.
This is one of those shots we talk about having to move from the takeout shot they shot prior to this to a very quiet shot of draw.
Whoa, that's a lot of weight, too.
Oh, weight's there. Weight's good.
Okay, we'll let her die. Oh, not too deep. Oh. Whoa.
Oh.
Oh, Macombo. Sorry, Don.
All right.
Our viewers should notice the rotation on the stones.
Move it back.
Solid rotation. Good, clean releases.
What kind of weight? What's that? What kind of weight? Back 12.
This is his strength. This is Kenny Tresser's strength right here, Lou.
good hit and flip in behind that tight guard would do a lot to help Stoughton possibly pick up a pair here and this fourth.
And if you can get your two back, psychologically, it's a terrific, it's just a real team lifter, booster. Just wouldn't finish for him.
We're going to get a little flop, eh?
Yeah.
I even know it.
Comparing the skips, Kevin Martin and Jeff Stoughton. Well,
a little hard to beat that one.
No.
So I'll make sure we get at least no so he can't go around on us.
Okay.
If I throw hacks down here, everything should hold its own.
Looking for a nose hit. It'll put the rock in a good position, not just in front of the tee line, but also blocking the path behind the corner guard.
Clean. Yep.
Hard. Really hard. Come on. Come on.
Pretty rim shot.
It went right away. It really
Don
went.
Bartlett.
I think it's on the front one or
Trying to hold it up.
Whoa!
Inside now, a little flip. Look at this. My goodness, there's 100%er.
Well, it looked like it rubbed the front one, actually.
Oh, I didn't see it.
You usually see that.
It actually rolled too far, though. They didn't expect that amount of curl, and you'll see how far the rock rolls, which they did not want. You'll see
Watch here.
How close it is.
Yeah.
Maybe you did.
Not much.
No?
It just went.
Did you see
The
something?
boys did well to get that back.
It was very
No matter
close.
how much he buries it, if I can throw that same.
But there's the yellow stone. It rolled a bit too far. Now, at least Jeff has a path around those corner guards.
Yeah, this gives Jeff the opportunity to get by now. It's a long guard, in front of the tee line. Get his extra point.
Yep. Wow. Line's good.
Stoughton's first.
Yeah.
This one's going too, just like Kevin's did.
Now it's Gould and Vandenberg trying to match them. Brush for drush. Not this time.
Right. Hard.
He was light again, you know that?
It was good.
It was close. But
I like doing the rings.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna play with this thing out here.
Well, he'll come through one way or the other.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, not much. I don't think we can make the whole length.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
We got
somewhere
force him to one. That's the main
I
thing.
want to force him to try to make a hole somewhere.
Yeah.
Definitely split the center line with this rock.
Okay.
you heard what Kevin said? Want to split the center line, this line here.
Even if I'm a foot short, it's not bad.
Make him
As long
put
as
that
right
back in
center
for
line.
you.
Not quite center line.
Make
but
Jeff
just
come
where
through one of these holes.
right there, right? If you can get it to that spot.
The other option, of course, for Jeff would be, if it's in the 12-foot, is to come off of that one. That was a big come around for Jeff Stoughton. He had a chance to really turn the end around.
It's top 12.
Hard. Curling.
Yep. Hard.
Just top 12, though.
Hard.
12.
Halfway down, it looked like Kevin Stone was going to be on that guard for sure.
Come on.
Great brushing got it by.
How's the line?
That's good.
Overcurl.
Okay.
By leaving Jeff the same spot, there's enough room between those guards that they shouldn't come into play.
Now you'll check with Steve and Gary right now to make sure was that enough weight. It was. They definitely could have gotten it to the 8-foot, but it certainly wasn't overthrown, Linda.
Do you like the draw in this case, or would you put the hit and play the hit?
The draw's a shot. He just played it here. You can't draw, you can't skip. Isn't that what we say?
Drawing against 2 here, and he's down by 2.
Take a look. Take a look.
Boy, Jeff.
The man can skip. Canadian world champion in '96, Jeff Stoughton, will pick up his one. But Kevin Martin and the team from the Otwell making it tough. For the first time, Martin will have the hammer when we come back to Sask Place.
This sports break is brought to you by Fisherman's Friend Medicated Lozenges for soothing relief of coughs, sore throats, and nasal congestion.
Hi, everybody. Brendan Connor in the TSN newsroom. While you're watching the curling, hope you're enjoying that. We're watching the CFL East Final for you. The Alouettes and the Argos at Skydome. Pretty good crowd out there. Let's show you some of the action early on. Second quarter, Al's down 7-1. Tracy Ham to Nigel Williams in between the coverage for 6, and that makes it 8-7 for the Als. Still second quarter, Chris Wright on the punt return. Nailed by Brendan Rodgers. Fumble, Argos recover. And on the ensuing drive, it'll be Doug Flutie in close, handing off to Robert Drummond, and he scampers in for his second TD of the day. 14-9 Argos at that point, 29 Argos at halftime. Now in the other game, the CFL West Final, that of course is Saskatchewan Edmonton. That starts up at 3:45 Eastern Time. We'll have highlights of that for you throughout the day as well.
Fastest sport utility vehicle. Introducing the new 245 horsepower Grand Cherokee 5.9 Limited.
Every day, the Canadian national rowing team strives for performance excellence. At Dynamic Mutual Funds, our team of dedicated money managers share information about the best value investment opportunities at home and around the world. For over 40 years, powered by partnership, driven by performance. Dynamic Mutual Funds, your partner for dynamic performance.
Just a reminder, coming right up on TSN, World Cup qualifying soccer from Swangard Stadium in Burnaby, BC. Canada mathematically still alive for a trip to France, but probably more likely hoping to play spoiler against the USA. This past Tuesday at the Hub City Curling Club here in Saskatoon, Ray had about 140 students and had some great help. People like former world champion David Smith, giving all of these youngsters some great tips. Sherry Shyrick from right here in Saskatoon, former Saskatchewan champion, and the current champion, Peter Lindholm.
It was tremendous, Vic. Fabulous day with 136 or 37 kids, and Peter Lindholm and David Smith's team and Russ Howard's team were all there. Sherry Shyrick, as you saw, and they spent about 3 hours on the ice with all of them. We did some classroom work, went through the strategy of the game, the fundamentals of the game, and it was really nice to see all the eager faces, and they seem to really enjoy it. And it's the curlers, you know, don't mind doing the odd thing like that, Linda. It's their way of putting it back into the game.
Lots of room too.
And
a lot of weight. Looks like lots.
Yeah.
A lot of weight.
It was nice to see all the young people.
Lots of room.
Oh.
Ton of room.
Oh, coming down. Oh. Coming down.
Oh, nice stop.
Oh.
2-1.
It's not going to bury anyway.
Kevin Martin leads as we play here in the 5th. Martin with the hammer.
Well, the skips have really helped their teams out of a bit of trouble. Kevin Martin in the 3rd and Jeff Stoughton in the 4th. Nice draw.
Play, Bomb.
See if the teams can set something up and follow through here.
If you hit this right on the nose and stay right there, then you're outside the rings.
Yeah, but his first thought was to come behind.
Well, because he threw up the long guard, and so he's thinking, I'm going, you know, I'm going to go.
Hip.
The key is here, you have to hit this on the nose.
That's fine. Got enough?
Chat, Steve.
And out it stays.
Good.
Out it goes?
Outside the rings it stays. Out the yellow one goes. Thought for a moment about coming between the two guards, but Kevin's changed his mind to play the out turn come around.
That's less than last time, but
Hard for line. Hard for line.
Don Bartlett.
Hard for line. Hard.
How's the
Really
weight?
hard.
That's good.
Come on, hard for line. We're light. Come on. Gee.
Hurry, try to bump this off the center if you can.
Open up the center a little bit.
It's all right.
In the first ever women's competition, 8 teams were invited to play in the semifinals. The reigning Canadian and world champion Sandra Schmirler was the winner over Marilyn Bodo, Kelly Owen Law over Shannon Kleibrink, and in the final it was Schmirler a winner over Law, the reigning BC champion, to win the first prize of $13,000, $9,000 going back to Richmond, BC with Law.
Gotta go. All the way. Line's good.
Gary Vandenberg.
Really gotta go. Line's good.
Everybody's a little fooled with the weight, I think, Linda. Everybody's so under throwing.
There you go.
Just a wee bit. It's
heavy draw.
My perception of what's happened is
Bump
just
this in.
it's just not as hard as it was in practice. It's just softened a little bit, and they're just not sliding. I mean, you and I were on the ice surface, and they were really sliding. No, that's normal in practice sessions because it's it's fresh ice, but
fast.
it seems to have.
It is difficult because the stopwatch times are often the same, but it's the fact that they don't glide at the end, and you have to make sure you stay on them with the sweeping.
Yeah.
Well, off.
Curling too much.
Off. I'm gonna split it off.
It's not bad.
Dumped it.
Shot.
Dumped it. Turned it over as he released it.
That weight here is good, though?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this will be fine.
They're referring to the fact that also the outside parts of the sheet, when you're running down the side of the 12-foot into the 8-foot, is a little bit heavier than the 4-foot band down the middle. So they're just checking on the weight for this particular shot, saying it's a little bit faster. It should be the same as the last one.
Hurry! Wolfer back! Hard!
Gould and Tresser.
They're also having a lot of trouble with the line. I don't know if the releases are just coming over the top on the end of the release and thus getting the rock started and curling more.
Could it be the ice down that fast?
No, I think Linda's right. I just think that they're not. Rudy and Gary just didn't throw those clean. There's all there was to it. They got them. The weight was fine on that shot. He just didn't get full to the stick.
Normal hit.
Got it started.
Come off the back of this one too.
Weights up.
Oh, down.
Close, yep. Hard. 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 Hard, 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 hard.
Rudy Remsharon. There's the hit. Look at this roll now.
Oh, boy, Rudy.
Off the back. Very nice.
Good shot.
Good roll in behind the corner. Put a stone in play that I can use after. Nice roll, and those rocks in the front aren't lined up very well.
No, there have been a lot of taps over there and moved rocks around, so there's no direct raise.
Ken Tresser. As we play third stones here in this fifth, with Martin leading 2-1.
Just short, right here.
Line's good.
Wall. Right here. Whoa. Let's finish up. Whoa. Whoa. Oh. Good. Okay.
It's a little too deep.
Okay.
Just throw, just hacks.
Hack?
Hack. Well, actually, board. Let's go board. Make sure we get it out.
I don't mind hack. Whatever you want. Whatever.
All right. Well, throw me hack then.
Huh?
Throw me hack.
Well, I don't mind board either.
Huh?
What do you want?
I'm just thinking with board, we can come off the back of this, eh?
Whatever.
Board weight.
Okay, let's difference between the hack and the board is in terms of weight, how many feet?
It's probably only about 6 feet of weight.
All right, and in that 6 feet, you're trying to do what with it? I mean, he's saying we're trying to get it out, but
it can make that much difference as far as the action on the shooter, which is what he's saying. A little more spin on the shooter, a little more action, maybe spin it in.
Real hard! Pull. Hard! Hard! Pull. Off! Hard! Off! Off!
Super.
Jeez.
Shot.
Yeah, I thought it was going to finish harder. Sorry.
That's a good shot. Can't get them both out.
No, you can't. Very good shot.
Play normal.
You have to come awful close to that guard to get them both out, I'll tell you.
He's trying to make sure he gets one and also rolls the shooter.
Yeah.
Ken Tresser.
Well. Hit! Hard! Hurry!
Vandenberg now closer to Stone. Gould is leading it out. Got it by, they do. Get them both.
Good.
No, the first race Stone will sit top 8.
Well, the yellow one is open at the moment, and the red stone's in great position to be raised.
Same weight.
Freaking. Huh?
Kevin has to make a play on it, hope for a little roll.
What? Board?
Just same weight, yeah.
Was I firm?
Hurry. Hard, guys.
Hard.
Ball.
Walchuk made a beauty with his first.
Go for the roll.
Hard. Hard.
Little flip, little roll.
Shot.
Nothing.
I think we can go in. Go here. Just normal.
Been some interesting ends from a turnaround point of view, Linda. You know, that end was looking, you know, quite nice for Kevin Martin, and then Kenny Tresser made a terrific shot. Boy, he was close to that guard. If you ever ticked that guard, you know, this is a big end for Martin. And Martin's in the enviable position to be able to, even at 2 points, puts a good lock on the game. So Jeff Stoughton has had his way with Kevin over the last couple of years. Is certainly in trouble. And a great shot by Kevin Martin. Just turned this game right around.
Jeff Stoughton and the first Skip Stone here in 5.
Hard! Hurry! Hard! Hard!
Now he'll crash. They'll get the stone off the 8 foot all the way out.
I think Jeff thought it was. I think Jeff thought it was by.
I do too.
Huh? Okay.
I kind of like that, though.
Huh? Okay. Yeah.
No, if he makes that into 4, I don't know. But let's show him half right there.
Hey?
Let's show him half right there.
Okay.
And if he makes a double, we got to split for 2.
Why don't you like the ball?
Well, he's coming around today. If I bump it a little crooked, he's going to the button.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Right? So let's block the button off.
I really think Jeff thought that was passed. That's why he yelled him, called him off.
Okay.
This is a good point. The Yellowstone in front of the house could be easily raised in or split in. But Kevin's saying if I do that, I'm leaving an easier position for Jeff with his last rock, hoping to get out of it to get something
that split looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Into a better position.
Well, just play it. If we split it, we split it. Play the come around.
Split their talk, playing the come around.
I like it.
But if they happen to split that one there.
I do too, actually.
And
I like this.
Top roll in there, that would be another option.
If they play this straight raise, they would still leave a guard out in front for Jeff to draw behind.
What did I draw the button with? 7, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
Remember that first?
You pointed that out, Vic.
He played the 7 stone and put it on the lid. And now he's going back to it.
Line's tight.
Oh, line's good. Hard though. Okay.
Wait,
okay,
sir.
Line's good.
Ton of room.
Wow, wow.
Hurry!
Wow!
Off.
Wait's here!
Wow, right off.
Oh, it's doing nothing. Oh, let it die.
Oh, let it die.
Whoa,
Finish it a bit. I got it hard. Sorry, Kevin.
No,
it just hung there.
Just didn't do anything.
No, I know.
Jeez. Sorry, guys. It just did nothing. How can Jeff's curl hit the guard, eh?
It was kind of strange.
Safe way.
The unfortunate part is it's wide open, and Jeff has another chance for a roll.
Go ahead, Don.
And he needs a roll big time here.
Yeah, it was a normal hit.
Roll behind the corner.
If it does get by, tight if it cuts up. Got to roll as far as you can, Steve.
Looking for the inside roll. Pretty dangerous. The other possibility, if you don't get the roll, you could get the double. If you lose your shooter.
Yep. Hey! Hard!
Final stone for Stoughton. Going to get this one by. No, again.
This game is over.
And he's raised it in, and Stoughton now in danger of giving up 4.
Is that enough? Yeah, this should be good, eh?
Oh, geez, I almost whacked on the 5 last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me the end turn.
That's exactly what we talked about. Is the fact that once you play this style of game when you're down,
I don't know what's going to happen to the darn thing. It's going crazy.
I don't think it's as quick down here as it is there.
Guys. All kinds of information.
All right.
Kevin Martin refocuses, and his final stone here in 5. He leads 2-1 and has a great opportunity to add 4.
Hurry.
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay, hurry.
Can't hurt.
Open draw.
Just clean. Just clean.
Okay.
Put it in the paint.
You're off. You're off.
And put 4 on the board.
All of a sudden, I'm a Gina.
Kevin Martin and the team from the Otwell Curling Club in Edmonton take advantage of a couple of crashes by Jeff Stoughton.
Hey, Cart. Hey, Kalisha. How are you?
6-1.
I'll be home pretty soon.
Could be home with a lot of money.
Setting the standard for excellence since 1952, FlexiCoil is a Canadian company with vision. Through innovation and technology, we're becoming the global leader in seeding, tillage, and spraying equipment. We provide an advantage to farming partners in Canada and around the globe through our commitment to quality, service, and education. Together, we will lead seeding trends by providing customer-specific solutions. Experience what the world standard.
There are a lot of different names Chrysler Canada vehicles can go by. But for maintenance service, there's only one name you need to know to keep them going. Whether it's on the track, off the track, or on the road. The one name that knows your vehicle best. Chrysler 5-star service. Only at your local Chrysler dealer. Great people, great service.
Mondays, get in the paint. Check out what's happening in the game. Keep up on the Raptors and the Grizzlies. Take a look at grassroots basketball in Canada. Shoot it out with the stars of the NBA. NBA in the paint, Mondays on TSN.
The 1997 FlexiCoil Curling Classic is brought to you by FlexiCoil, setting the standard. By Chrysler Canada, official sponsor of the Canadian Olympic team. By Dynamic Mutual Funds, your partner for dynamic performance. And by JVC, technically perfect, perfectly simple.
The Husky key shot of that fifth end, you would think would have been the draw for four. No, but it was the crash, a couple of them by Jeff Stoughton.
Well, really, it's hard to explain what happened to both the stones. The first one they thought was by. This one just moved big time, and he chips the rock in the ring. It's free draw for four, and really, it's a tough task now against Kevin Martin.
It's a 6-1 lead as we join Linda with a couple of special guests.
Well, you're right, Vic. I'm joined by Bill Hunter, chairman of Marquee Entertainment, who was very instrumental in this event, and of course, Doug Warner, vice president of marketing for FlexiCoil, the big sponsor of the event. I'm going to turn to Bill first and just say we're very impressed with the event. Of course, it looks fabulous. You added a women's division this year. You must be very pleased.
We are, Linda, and the women's division was a major asset, and the ladies lent a great deal for the fans. They provide excitement and great curling.
And no event is complete without the volunteers, and you had a lot of them working on this event.
Close to 500 volunteers, and we want to thank Doug and FlexiCoil because Scott Summick, chairman of our volunteers, he and his team of directors and all their volunteer team have done a great job. And of course, we mustn't forget to mention the Shriners and the Curl Saskatoon. They've been very instrumental in the success of this bonspiel.
And we thank you for all your help during the event as well.
Well, we thank TSN. We were just delighted to be able to associate with TSN in the telecast of this great international bonspiel.
And of course, FlexiCoil, the major contributor, major sponsor. We were saying women's division added this year. Ray and I were wondering about a commentators division next year.
Well, I think given the people that are commentating, it'd be quite a competition out there.
But a huge cash, and it's just wonderful for the players. As a former participant, was very appreciative to see that kind of money come in, and I'm sure they thank you very much.
Well, we're trying to grow the sport. I mean, curling is kind of a big thing in Canada, and we'd like to see it grow even more, get some more young people out into the game, and we think this type of event will certainly do that.
We thank you both very much. Looking forward to the end of the final. Vic?
Linda, our thanks to FlexiCoil, the worldwide leader in seating and tillage equipment, now exporting to some 20 countries, and to Husky, a major sponsor of the women's competition.
You know, there's a remarkable new tool right now at Canadian Tire that makes a lot of existing tools seem outdated. I'm talking about RoboGrip pliers from Mastercraft. You see, RoboGrip's special design allows it to self-adjust to most any size job with a simple squeeze of the handles.
That's right. No screws or levers to set. Just squeeze and turn. Plus, it's spring-loaded for one-handed operation, not like these regular pliers.
And it comes in 2 sizes, so it's perfect for most any job. Rounded nuts, pipes, flat surfaces, irregular shaped objects. And its offset head allows for easy access to those tight spots.
And RoboGrip's laminated jaw construction makes it so strong, it comes with a lifetime warranty.
The new self-adjusting Mastercraft RoboGrip is so versatile, you'll find it indispensable in your house, your garage, even in the garden. So don't wait. Get your RoboGrip pliers today. Available exclusively at Canadian Tire.
Buy a Dodge Stratus instead of a BMW 318i. And the money you save can go toward your registered retirement savings plan. Or not.
Every day, the Canadian national rowing team strives for performance excellence. At Dynamic Mutual Funds, our team of dedicated money managers share information about the best value investment opportunities at home and around the world. For over 40 years, powered by partnership, driven by performance. Dynamic Mutual Funds, your partner for dynamic performance.
We're all looking forward to being at the Keystone Center in Brandon for the Olympic playdowns. And look at the men's field. Can you imagine any better field anywhere? From Madaw, who's won $250,000 through Burtnick, Stoughton, Wernick, Martin. Look at the names and think of what all these teams have won. And of course, we'll see Stoughton and Martin again.
There always sort of has been 2 seasons to every year. You have the big cash season in the fall, and then all the prestige events start to happen near Christmas and into the new year. So anytime in the fall you want to peak for any big event and big bonspiels, and Brandon, we are sort of looking as one of the biggest bonspiels ever, and we haven't changed our curling approach this year to prepare for it.
If the ice and the rocks are excellent, then it should be just a treat to play. You know, against these teams, every team, it's the best caliber of curlers that have ever been put together in one building. And to get to play team after team after team in good conditions should be fabulous.
It really should be some wonderful curling, and we're looking forward to it. Our coverage, 2 draws a day from the Keystone Center in Brandon. The Olympic trials beginning November the 22nd. Wow, 4 for Kevin Martin in the 5th. He's up 6-1. And I would think you could start counting out that 60 grand, but with the 4 rock rule, you never know. As quickly as you get 4, you could give up 4.
Well, you know,
2.
You get 2 back, you give up 1. You get 2 back, you give up 1, and
it's the honor.
It can happen.
So far. Hey.
And Don Walchuk throws the first one through. Steve Gould, the Stoughton lead.
It's been a very unusual game, thinking back to the 3rd end. At one point, Jeff Stoughton was sitting 4. Kevin Martin ends up stealing a couple. There have been a lot of rocks in play and a lot of possible good situations for both teams. But the last end was rather unusual, with Jeff Stoughton having his rocks over curl in a spot where it didn't seem to be a very swingy spot, Ray.
Yeah, they both took off on him. The first one I think he thought was by, because he called the brushing off. And then there's a bad shot by Stevie. I know it slid too far on him, and he'll be the first to tell you it's a horrible shot. It's got to be out in front of the rings in the free guard zone area. You got 2 chances at it, and you got to get it there. You're going to try and get back in the game.
No, that's good.
All right.
Where's your towel?
In. Well.
That's weird, eh? This didn't cut at all.
A little tighter. Good.
Let's take a look at the numbers through 5 ends of play, brought to you by Chrysler Canada.
Well, after that big 4-ender, of course, Martin has the lead, and that steal of 2 may be the pivotal start to this game. In fact, the Martin made a wonderful hit and roll to get it. But if you look at Jeff Stoughton, very unusual. The draw percentage only 58%, bringing down the total team percentage to 65. And the draws and the quiet shots are Jeff Stoughton and Ken Tresser's keys to success usually. And so far, that has let him down. Although last end, it was the takeouts, the 2 takeouts that Jeff threw, that cost them the points.
And he felt he threw them pretty well, but they went sideways on him, and obviously it's going to be, as they said out there a moment ago, a yawner now. Be a lot of peeling, and there's no one peels better than this Kevin Martin team.
No. Right off. Not good.
Okay. It's the richest bonspiel in the world, the FlexiCoil. This game with $100,000 on the line, and Kevin Martin looking to defend his championship. He won it a year ago, and he's well on his way to picking up the $60,000 again here in '97.
It really is an amazing amount of money at stake. Ray and I were chatting, and I was saying that before this Bonspiel, they used to have a lot of car spiels, and they seem to be just a massive event as far as the prize you would win. 60,000 here for first, and the fact that third and fourth they still get 15,000 is just tremendous.
Same spot.
Yeah, it's a huge spiel to win for sure, and I think you're going to see a lot more of these, Linda, as time goes by, and both the women's curling and the men.
Make sure.
You get sponsors like FlexiCoil and
make sure
others that'll join the fray. And
yep. Try, Gary. Try, Gary. Good.
This is what teams start to do. You wonder why you might play a stone so close to the edge, but they're looking for any way that they can get a Martin miss, and that is putting it close to the edge, hoping that the rock curls because of some frost or hangs because of some frost, and they get a nose hit or even a miss.
And it's a different spot, a spot not used, as you mentioned, Linda, so you might get a little different action to it. All kinds of rotation.
You're not going to hide many from Walchuk.
No, the first stone slipping into the rings by Steve Gould really did change the complexion of this end completely.
Ken Tresser.
Yep. Can't hurt it.
Well, Kevin Martin certainly owed Jeff Stoughton a win of this nature in the round robin, as I mentioned. That was absolutely reverse of this, where Stoughton beat up Martin badly. Jeff had the 3 wins in the 96 Brier. He then won in Regina in a round robin game. And so Kevin Martin was overdue for this victory. It's not over yet, of course, but it certainly is going that way.
Hurt.
And from Kevin's point of view, it's a nice time to turn that kind of around, you know, because they're going off to Brandon, and they're certainly going to play each other again because of a round robin situation.
Same turn? Yeah.
Do you think Canadians have adjusted reasonably well to the because in 94 you said the rule came in, wasn't it? 3 rock rule.
Right.
4 rock rule internationally, I guess we sort of been so-so.
Check.
But the free guard zone, considering now that's been in place for a number of years, and considering all the arguments that people seem to have with it, and before its implementation, I think everyone's adjusted pretty well, and now has taken it. And some people say, boy, why didn't we have this earlier?
I don't think there's any argument to the against the fact that the change in the rule, whether it be 3 or 4, has really been a tremendous plus for the game. There's no one arguing, no one that I've heard of arguing against it. You'd have to be a real traditionalist to not enjoy what it's done to the game, because it's made it, not only has it made it more interesting to play, for, you know, and I still play on a competitive basis and regularly, and I still love playing. It's made it a much better spectator sport. We used to see so many ends just like this, end after end after end, you know.
This is 91 in Hamilton.
Exactly, exactly. And
I think what's interesting with either rule as you look at it is some of the evolution we've seen over the last few years. For a while, there was only center rocks and come arounds, and then people tried to move the corner guards to different positions. Now I think people are more comfortable with what they like to play, and they have a bit of a pattern they establish in each situation. The team knows what's expected. The 4-rock rule does bring a little added dimension, as I said in the very beginning of the show, as to how to defend a lead. And even at the Worlds last year, we saw Peter Lindholm playing Kevin Martin and purposefully raising in a Martin stone to make sure the 4-foot band in the middle stayed open, because it's a little more difficult to defend when you don't have, when you have last rock and you have these center rocks piling up. So you'll see some of these changes gradually occurring, and people are just becoming more comfortable with the number of rocks in play and the possible shots they have to make to defend when center rocks like that are placed up.
One stone to play for Martin here in this sixth, and thought is you may as well go in with it, huh?
Well, yeah, it's the last stone at the end, so for him.
Does he shake this kind of thing off?
Oh,
Does he shake that fifth end off?
Sure, they all do. I mean, just as Kevin shook off the game he had against Jeff in this in the A-side qualifier. I mean, you play these teams, and also when you play these teams at this level, you know, one day it goes and one day it doesn't. One shot. Kevin doesn't make that hit and roll. Jeff gets 2 or 3. You could see the reverse of this.
Wasn't it in the game in round robin play where Jeff got 4 one end?
Yeah,
so
that's wide open.
You know, on a given day, it could happen to you or against you.
You see a lot more of this happening with the 4-rock rule than you do with the 3-rock rule. The 3-rock rule, you stay a little bit closer. You don't, because when you get down with these 4 rocks, a couple, and you start to take the chances, there are multiple stones that end up in the rings, and as we saw, if you don't execute, then you give up a couple more.
Doing nothing stupid.
This is okay.
No, peel it over. He'll peel it. Get one guard anyway.
Yep, clean. Yep. Hard. Hurry.
You don't want to stay here. You got to get this out of there.
He won't. He'll stay. He'll take his 1, and he'll give up the hammer. So now, Steve Gould, maybe Kevin, Jeff Stoughton is saying to him, make sure you get that first stone next end, get it in that 3-guard zone. If we have to get them back, we're going to use your first 2 to do it.
Setting the standard for excellence since 1952, FlexiCoil is a Canadian company with vision. Through innovation and technology, we're becoming the global leader in seeding, tillage, and spraying equipment. We provide an advantage to farming partners in Canada and around the globe through our commitment to quality, service, and education. Together, we will lead seeding trends by providing customer-specific solutions. Experience what the world has already discovered. FlexiCoil, setting the standard.
A cough or sore throat? Aren't you glad you have friends? Like Fisherman's Friend medicated lozenges. They even make nasal passages feel clearer. So try Fisherman's Friend medicated lozenges with over 100 years of effectiveness.
There are a lot of different names Chrysler Canada vehicles can go by. But for maintenance service, there's only one name you need to know to keep them going. Whether it's on the track, off the track, or on the road. The one name that knows your vehicle best. Chrysler 5-star service. Only at your local Chrysler dealer. Great people, great service.
Rollers head for the alley for some serious strike action. Catch women's 10-pin final action Wednesday night on TSN.
Tonight, NFL 97 sizzles on TSN. Buckle up for an AFC Central showdown as the hometown Steelers tackle the Baltimore Ravens. NFL 97. See it live and kicking on TSN.
Well, the all-important first stone from Steve Gould. A reminder, the NFL on TSN.
Yep.
Coming up at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Baltimore and the Steelers get it into that 3-guard zone.
Straight up.
Don Walchuk's dad is here. That's Wes, Mom Rose, and Kevin Martin's father-in-law, Peter, is here as well. That's Kevin Martin's wife, Shauna's dad. We would prefer to have that stone a little tighter, that free guard zone stone.
I don't think they're as worried at this point. They were trying to tick with Martin's stone, and
went back,
I think Jeff just wants them somewhere out there, forcing Kevin to try those ticks, which are very difficult shots, as we know. Have we decided they're the most difficult shot now?
I think so. As we went to break, and you were saying that maybe that's why he wasn't as concerned giving up or taking the single point. For that reason, he gets a chance to put 2 in right away.
He gets 2 out in front.
But you'll notice he's not putting them at center line. He's trying to spread them out. So he's not as worried about where they are. He knows that Kevin's going to try and keep things clean, and so he's just trying to get them out there.
Same shot.
One more try with the tick. In Canadian rules, they could be peeling. At this stage, you cannot with the 4-rock rule.
Don Bartlett. Going to catch a piece?
That's fine.
A little bit.
Okay.
You notice that Kevin played them from the outside in with quite a bit of weight. He was just trying to tick it a little bit over. Jeff prefers to play it with a little less weight and cross the face. He has a theory about how the rocks are a little bit deadened, and that the rock you're trying to move will not then go and hit the sideboards, and the shooter still will.
The only thing too, but in this situation with a 6-2 spread like this, you know where you want your shooter to be left out there as well. So you know, if you don't make it the other way, the shooter's gone because you're throwing it with more weight. So
I think Jeff was one of the first to ever try the crossing the face type tick. Most players, no matter what the situation, just tried to catch the very little edge. Jeff's sort of innovated the other attempt.
Gary Vandenberg, his first stone in behind cover, and it'll slip to back 8.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta peel this one.
Now you see the reason again why the 2 stones were spread out as opposed to put one in behind the other at center line. They know that Kevin Martin's team is very good at peeling, and Rudy would have had a chance potentially for a double peel here. It's just a single peel.
Well,
Rudy Rumsharon.
That's rock, Rudy. Nothing. Yeah, he threw it good too.
at this stage, what Jeff is hoping for to try and get himself back in the game is a mistake by Kevin. All you can do is get lying 2 or hopefully get lying 3 and, maybe stealing 1 or
Good
stealing
line.
2 with a draw that might come up short or a rock that curls too much. So the ice has been a little bit
guys,
tricky.
hard.
Got to get it there.
Yep, come on. Finish it off. Finish it off. Whoa. Yep. Come on.
Terry Vandenberg with 2 nice stones. Just a reminder, you can improve your game with one of the best instructional tapes out there. Curling with Lyndon Ray. They're sitting beside me. 204-489-8521. If you'd like to order 1, 2, or all 3 tapes. Curling with Lyndon Ray.
Thank you, Victor.
For people on the internet, you can also go to the icing homepage. That's the International Curling Information Network group, and you can check out all the supplies that they've got listed, including our videos.
Well, we got the nose hit. Jeff can't ask for any more than this, Linda. He's got 2 in the rings. He here Kenny says, "I wish we had the hammer." Yeah, if you had the hammer, you're right back in the game, aren't you? If you can put it home, take it to the barn. But a chance to come around this guard now, top of the 8-foot, cover the shot rock.
Through. Whoa.
Ken Tresser. First stone for the Stoughton third.
This is staying out. Now look at this, Lynn. This is what we talked about in reading the ice.
What's he got?
It's just riding that line.
No. Yep, come on, come on.
We don't think it's the line itself, but for some reason the edge of the 4-foot band is a lot straighter than the center part, and even other spots in the ice we've watched.
Same part of the ice, though, that Bartlett was trying to make those two ticks with, and Martin suggested it floated a little bit and actually floats away.
Yeah, more on that side of the sheet as well. We've seen it curl off of the line to the left as we're looking at the sheet now.
Did you move inside the 4-foot strip or 4-foot band that we talk about, and you saw Jeff Stoughton's two stones go down there and make a big move, both chipping the guard?
Hurt. Don Walchuk.
Oh, off. Come on back. Honey. Good shot. That's better. Something to play off of now.
Always thinking, always trying to get a stone, or thinking where a stone is and position to be able to get in off of it or move it over.
Just a reminder, you can contact us through email at www.tsn.ca curling.
So far, the people have been quite kind. The questions actually haven't been as hard. I'm sure as the year goes, the questions that come into us on the email will be more and more difficult.
Through. Good line. Yep. Yep. Wall, we're by. Yep. Hard. Hard for line, guys. Hard. Hooray! Come on.
No.
Easy.
That's fine. Good.
Good.
Flop. I can throw. It's wide open.
Shooter's spilled off. It covers that one at the back.
I was going to say I can throw board.
8.
It's interesting, though, because
No, I don't think so.
The first comment by Jeff was it's by, and then all of a sudden just started to go.
It's a tough spot.
Well, it's not going to go anywhere here. Oh. Down normal? Is that what he said?
Sure.
You don't want to roll out here, though, Don. You want to make sure you stay there. Take a little roll to the inside if you can.
Oh. Wow. Wow.
Loading.
Oh, great shot.
A little bit of roll. From Gary Issinghood in Calgary. I thought in international rules only the designated skip could sweep behind the tee line. Can teams be penalized for not following this rule?
Well, first of all, of course, in international rules, they have a lot of differences from the Canadian rule. There's the tee line. And here, the two rules that are being enforced are the time clock, 75 minutes, no timeouts, and, of course, the 4-rock rule. They're not looking to enforce the other international rules. Internationally, you can only have the acting skip sweep behind the tee line, and that's the skip until they go to throw their stones, and then it's the person holding the broom for them. If somebody else does sweep and isn't supposed to, and if it's their own stone they're sweeping, the stone is removed from play internationally. If it's the opponent's stone you miss-sweep, it gets put back to where it would have been if you hadn't swept it incorrectly. Different rules apply in Canada, of course, where the front ends can continue to sweep their own stone or any stone set in motion. So to answer the question quickly, here they are not enforcing those extra international rules, and so there are no penalties for the difference that you're seeing here from that rule.
First of the skip stones.
It's only day 2, and I'm already having to do the rules.
Room, lot of room.
Confusing everybody with them.
Yep.
No, that was
Lots
terrific
of
there.
room.
Right on.
Line's good. Let her go. Finish it up. Right here. Finish it up. Whoa, whoa. Whoa.
Good. Nice shot.
Okay.
You've got no double in. If I do rattle the guards,
yeah,
it's not the worst. Shot, Jeff.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just playing it quietly.
Give me the 6.
For draws, he goes for 7.
Rack on the guard.
No big deal.
Martin in his first leading 6-2 as we play here in the 7th.
Hard! Hard, real hard! Hard! Whoa! Hard! Oh, hard!
Got it by.
Might be able to double him. Come on, hard! Gee!
Okay, double the man.
I don't know. Do you think he had enough weight to get them both?
Well, I didn't mean double as remove them both. He wanted to move it far enough so that his yellow was second shot on the other side as we look at it, the right side of the house. That was great sweeping, though, to get it by the guard.
They thought they'd were going to tick it for a moment. That's been the difference today. Jeff hasn't got those by, and Kevin has.
Yeah.
Looking for the roll.
It's nice.
Stoughton and his final stone would like to put a little pressure on here.
Close. Hit. Whoa. Whoa. Hit.
That one really took off.
It really did. Will it sit in time for a second shot?
They lost it. They had to get it earlier. Not Mr. Stoughton's day today.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, this turn will be easier. Just run straight down here.
Huh?
This one will have a little more pebble, probably.
What's the matter with this?
Well, I'm just worried about the fudging and all that kind of stuff. This thing will just stay dead straight. It won't go anywhere and just bump it in. It should just run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just run down the sheet.
Pick that.
Yeah. It'll be full keen over here.
You can blast the other one for just playing for 1. It's wide open, if you want.
Was it wide open?
Yeah.
For 2?
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I thought it was buried a bit. Yeah, I just hit it.
Hit that one, yeah.
I didn't realize I could see it all.
For 2.
Well, he said if you're just blasting, you just
say that.
just get it out. You'll count that one. If you hit it, they're just going to blast at it and get it out of there and score those single point.
Yep.
Clean. Clean only.
Whoa.
Oh. Clean. Clean.
Oh, boy.
For the single. And he has it. 1 yellow. Top 8.
Perfect.
And a 7th point for Kevin Martin. Up by 5 on Stoughton, who'll talk it over.
Nice weight. That's it.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Brendan Connor in the TSN newsroom. We got a wild game going on. The CFL East Final at Skydome in Toronto. It's the Argos and the Alouettes. Let's check in there now and show you an amazing punt return from Chris Wright. Argos open up a 29 lead at halftime, but in the third, look at Wright. Fake left, then come around, find the wall, find a seam, turn on the Jets, and go 70 yards on the punt return for a touchdown. The Owls led 23-20 at that point. And later, with them leading 30-23 in the fourth, Robert Drummond punches one over, his 3rd touchdown of the day. It is now 30-30 in the 4th quarter. And this is a wild game. Of course, it's for a berth in the Grey Cup later on this month in Edmonton. Now, speaking of Edmonton, they are taking on Saskatchewan in the CFL West Final. That starts up in 45 minutes. We'll watch that one for you as well and be back in an hour with an update.
There's a reason a certain organization chose Plymouth Breeze for its people. Compared to Honda Civic, the Breeze offers a lot more car for the money. There's a larger engine, longer wheelbase, and plenty of room for kids, dogs, and all your stuff, which is important because it makes it real easy to pack up and go, especially when you're in a hurry.
Every day, the Canadian national rowing team strives for performance excellence. At Dynamic Mutual Funds, our team of dedicated money managers share information about the best value investment opportunities at home and around the world. For over 40 years, powered by partnership, driven by performance. Dynamic Mutual Funds, your partner for dynamic performance.
Just a reminder, there are still some tickets available in Brandon, the Keystone Center, for the Olympic curling trials beginning the 22nd of November. For those tickets, call 204-571-2000. The Olympic curling trials. Seven to 2. Kevin Martin looks like he's on his way to defending his FlexiCoil Curling Classic Championship.
This is good. Come on. Make sure. Shot, Steve.
Took a lot of work to get it there.
Well, he threw one in at the
Sometimes
end,
it does, sometimes it doesn't.
coming this way, so.
Remember the last stand, Bartlett missed those 2 little ticks.
Hurt.
That would hurt the numbers, but the team wouldn't be as concerned with those. Tough shots.
Yeah, the numbers, Don's numbers are
good throw.
Really shouldn't even be used.
He must be playing about 10%, eh? He must
There's a comment.
They're talking.
Curling at 10%.
Clean. Come on, make sure. Come on. Come on. All right, all right. Shot, Steve.
So now we start the peeling process.
You're up, Ruth.
Rudy Remsharon.
The other nice thing about being ahead like this, if the game is fairly open, once you have the lead, if you only make half shots, for example, Rudy at the second position, if you're hitting rocks and rolling out again, that's not a huge problem for your team, although it does bring your statistics down.
Clean.
We're okay.
Throw route.
Got to be frustrating. Has to be. He knows there's not a lot he can do.
Come on.
No, it is frustrating
No? Okay.
how he got to this point with the rocks for himself that didn't work, especially in the end where he gave up 4.
Good, Gary.
Show me what you got. Go, cat, go.
Well, you got your
leave
two.
it, yeah, covering the edge of the 4.
They'll go in now.
Stop it up.
Come around, Jeff.
No, tap it up.
Jeff wants to tap this one here. They talked about to come around this way here. Come with both turns.
What's his thought here, Linda?
Well, it's still fairly early. It's on seconds rocks. I guess he figures if they go around the yellow one, which is a really nice guard near center, Kevin's just going to peel off that guard.
Yep.
I think he wants to try and play over here a little bit, and hopefully with third rocks, he's going to get something going around the yellow one.
Sit there.
Good.
Had to curl a little bit more. He'll peel his zone off here.
Don Walchuk. 2 Canadian championships with Pat Ryan, 88. And then 89, he won the World Championship that year in Milwaukee. And then last year, the championship with Kevin Martin. Not much to choose between the two-thirds, Walchuk and Tresser.
Don had a couple of misses early. Since the first or second end, he hasn't missed a thing. And his skip came up for him big time in the second end, and third end, I guess it was.
But on the scoreboard, it's Walchuk with the advantage over this man, Tresser.
Line's good.
Martin ahead of Stoughton.
Yep. No, a lot of room. Lots of room. Oh. Yep, come on. Right up, guys, right to the back. Right up, right up, right up. Okay, good. All right, Jeff. Okay. Good, Ken.
When it's one of those days, those rocks are wide open instead of buried.
Wow.
And as we said earlier, you tick the rocks instead of get by them.
Gee.
Oh, baby.
He wished that,
Man,
I think.
oh man.
Didn't like the release.
Well, when you throw it that hard, it's very
Little slide.
unforgiving. It's not going to come back
It's
for
like a
you.
duck out of a shot, huh?
Huh?
It's like a shot duck.
It's about 2 feet wide.
Ever seen a most out of a shotgun?
So he's too close to center line there, and he's trying to put it back to the target line. It takes a pretty good talent to be able to correct that much with the speed that you're using on those shots.
Off your stomach.
Yeah.
All right.
You probably had the opportunity to do that, Dick.
Hard line, guys. Come on, hard.
Get on my stomach.
Off your stomach.
Yeah.
Hey, come on. Come on, guys. Hurry.
Not today.
Sorry, Ken.
It's not going to work today. They just can't get by them.
Right on the nose.
One of those days. Kevin certainly had a few of those against this particular team, so it's his
Right on
turn.
the nose.
And that is where the difference has been today. And for some of the shots, Jeff really was shaking his head. He wasn't sure why they didn't work, but they really haven't worked today.
Yep.
Clean.
Oh.
Leave. Oh, off. Okay.
Good shot.
For somebody who looks like they're going to take home $60,000, still has a bit of a worried face. Kevin Martin?
I don't think so.
Yep. Ball. Yep. Whoa.
Well.
No.
Not far enough.
Where'd you have that? Here?
Up 2 inches. No.
Does Miss? I don't think there was any argument that
Well, he's got a split.
Sanders Schmirler
He's got a split.
Sanders Schmirler was
I'll make sure we stick around here.
not even by virtue of that win yesterday. The favorite will be the favorite in Brandon. Does this make Kevin Martin the favorite? You think, or is the field too good there to really say he would be one of them, but he isn't the favorite?
You're wrong.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, Vic. I mean, I think he certainly is one of the favorites. I think that field, you said, you're right on as far as I'm concerned. It's just so tough on a given day. You take a situation here you got where Jeff Stoughton has beaten Kevin Martin 5 times in a row, and yet today Kevin just just controlled after a big shot in 3. He turned the game around and then hasn't made a mistake. So it's these teams are so close, all of them. All the teams that are there.
The other side of the center line, maybe.
Really hard to pick a winner in Brandon.
Yeah, we have to remember we've seen Bonspiel winners lately. Brandon is one of those championships. It's a round robin. You play everybody. Seeding in the draw isn't going to come in as a factor. So it's going to be, you have to be there at the end of the week after playing everybody once, and then pour it on in the playoffs, and it's sudden death at that point.
Yep. Or roll out.
Or roll out. No, he'll sit for 1, and now Stoughton.
Thanks.
Will take his 1, and they'll move down to the other end. Will they talk about it? Will they shake?
Well, who's tempting in that?
Nope. They'll go 1 more. Kevin Martin. He'll have the hammer back, and he's up by 4.
It's as old as the hills. But at Chrysler, we make minivans with captain's chairs in the back. With more seating combinations in long and short wheelbase, we can solve just about any family dilemma.
He's staring at me. Every day, the Canadian national rowing team strives for performance excellence. At Dynamic Mutual Funds, our team of dedicated money managers share information about the best value investment opportunities at home and around the world. For over 40 years, powered by partnership, driven by performance. Dynamic Mutual Funds, your partner for dynamic performance.
The Fall Wood Pro Sale from Steel. Save right now on selected Steel chainsaws starting at just $299.95 and get a Wood Pro kit valued at over $75 absolutely free. Steel, built to last, priced to sell.
Gulf's elite are on the prowl at the Shark Shootout. Defending champs Tom Kite and Jay Haas aim to beat the odds again. The Shark Shootout. See it Friday on TSN.
There are a lot of different names Chrysler Canada vehicles can go by. But for maintenance service, there's only one name you need to know to keep them going. Whether it's on the track, off the track, or on the road. The one name that knows your vehicle best. Chrysler 5-star service. Only at your local Chrysler dealer. Great people, great service.
Coming up today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, World Cup qualifying soccer. Canada against the U.S.
Come on.
From Swangard Stadium in Burnaby, British Columbia, Graham Leggett and Peter Watts will have that for you.
Come on, halfway tight.
Is that beautiful, Burnaby, British Columbia?
You know, that is Swangard, maybe one of the prettiest stadiums in this country. They're setting in the Burnaby Park there.
That's very nice. I just thought I'd throw that beautiful in. I used mine all up last February at the Scott Tournament of Hearts in Vancouver.
It was beautiful.
Thought I was allocated another one today, perhaps. I think it's sunny back there. Just because I'm not there. We finally
like
get
a
a
lot of
weekend
weight.
of sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hurry.
Hard!
Back it off.
Hard!
Ah.
All right, roll it off. Okay. Just didn't run like the last time.
No, it didn't.
Jeff can sweep his own stone to
heavier.
get it to
A little
touch
lighter
the
might be
side, and of course, it gets to be put back.
It was about half and half?
About half and half.
So the stone comes back. Chance to put another one out in front. Steve Gould.
No. No.
Get off that line.
Good, Steve.
A little bit.
No, 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 no.
Good, Steve.
Good. Might have been a bit heavy last time, though.
Want me to get this one?
We appreciate all the help of the organizing committee and volunteers. Our couple of days here in Saskatoon at Sask Place. We thank you, and we've enjoyed our time here at the FlexiCoil. 7-3. Kevin Martin leading as we play in the 9th.
Well, that one ran like it did last time.
I tried on.
Well, it's a long shot, but a couple rocks in front gives Jeff a little bit of hope to maybe steal a couple points.
Lot of room. Come on. Lots of room. Ton of room.
Come on, let's go sideways here. Right up, right up.
In this situation, this is when brushing is really, really difficult because you're down a whole bunch of points and you don't want to not be trying on the rushing. But it's really hard. I find it so much harder to brush, you know, with my heart when you're down like this. It's easy when you're, you know, you're really in a tight game or you're up a little bit. But
Hard.
Rudy Remsharon.
Hard. Real hard.
Got one.
Good shot.
Rudy.
Oh, great shot.
Shot.
Yeah, it's a good shot. He's got the rocks off the front and he's got them together in the rings.
Gary Vandenberg.
Just over.
How's the line?
Good, just over.
It's over.
Just over.
Like that, I hung that. Okay. Oh, shit.
Good shot.
It's got to be tough too, though, for Stoughton, as Linda suggests, and you did too, that he knows that it was his shots that probably got them in the jam. Now he's trying to get himself and his team back into it. Realizes it's pretty difficult against somebody like Martin, and how does he keep his head in it?
It's especially difficult because he wasn't really sure why it wasn't working. Sometimes if you turn a stone or you float it out and thus the shot just isn't made, you go, well, okay, I did that once. But it seemed time after time the rocks did things and he wasn't sure why. And that's when your mind, you have a lot of trouble getting back into the game, focusing on the shots, that sort of thing.
Good boy.
It's all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, we take a handy for the 50-50 draw. I have the lucky number.
What's it going to take, do you think, Linda and Brandon, aside from the good curling? One of the intangibles that the winning team might need.
Well, the point you're just making actually is an interesting one, because we firmly believe that the field is going to be very tough, and that means a record of 4 losses, for example, can get you into the playoffs potentially. That means if you lose a couple early in the week, you can't just say, well, we've had it and give up. Every game, you've got to go give it your all. And the mental side of the game, I think, is what's going to be key in Brandon, making sure that you stay focused, stay ready to play, and then once you make the playoffs, really go for it.
8, 7, 6. 4, 3, 4, 8, 7, 6.
And I think that's why we've heard a lot of teams here that talk about the mental side of the game and the fact that they're preparing in this part of the season, the Bonspiel season, to play in Brandon and playing end by end as opposed to thinking too big and making sure that they focus on every shot. Look at how hard the teams work on every shot. That's because you're focused on making that one shot the best it can be, working on your end plan and then moving on to the next end. I think teams that start to think too much about outcome in Brandon, because look at what's at stake, a trip to Nagano. If you think too much about that, you're going to be in trouble.
They scratch it?
And as far as I know, this is the only national championship that's ever been held before Christmas. So we don't have a lot to go on as far as that time of year. We hold championships now from January through to March as far as the national events go. But this is a real different preparation for the teams. The last time the trials were held were in April, the ones that I participated in. And late season is much different than this time of year as far as your whole game goes.
Yeah, that's what some of the ladies were saying too, is it was really hard to get prepared. That's why this event, and they're trying to jam as much curling as they can into the early part of the season to get ready for Brandon, because it is, as you mentioned, it's in November, the end of November, a couple of weeks from now, and they really haven't had a chance to play a lot. Jeff, in his comments in the fifth-hand break, was saying, the curling traditionally always has been kind of a two-link system, in the sense that you play the big cash spiels in the fall, and that's when you do your tuning and honing for those national events that come up. In the case of the men, the Breyer and the Scott for the women's top team. So it's a different season for sure. I think that's why some of the teams, I know Jeff seemed for sure, spent some time in the off season during the summer working on the physical side of the game, because they knew they weren't going to be doing a lot of rushing before they got to Brandon. So, and it takes a lot of strength, and conditioning is a huge part of it, especially if you're playing on the front end in particular.
A little less, Ken. A little less. Thanks.
Kevin Martin leading by 4 has the hammer here in this 9th end of play. First, Skip Stone.
How's the line? It's out there a bit.
Line's good.
It's got to curl lots. It's got to curl lots.
Gotta move.
Hard all the way. Come on, guys. Hard. Hard all the way.
Hard.
We've often heard skips who participated in the
little more,
McCain TSN skins game or the JVC TSN women's skins game, saying that skins play is so mentally tiring. It's 10 mini games. I really think, considering the field,
as long as we hit the one on the button,
the Olympic trials for both men and women will be like that. You'll be as mentally whipped, mentally tired.
Well, yeah, you never know, man.
As anything you've done. And I agree with you. I think if you physically and getting through that, emotionally getting through that, mentally getting through that, will be very tough.
When we saw the men's qualifiers, the other thing after watching the game yesterday with the women, they were virtually out of time in the game last night, because there was so much discussion, so many rocks in play, and with those great teams that we've seen, you're not going to see lopsided games like this very much, and you're going to see decisions having to be made right through the 10th end. So time might become a factor. It isn't something we see very much of, but it may be another thing that will be another dimension to the problems in Brandon.
Yeah, obviously one has to go.
Well, there was a double.
But we don't want it falling back again.
We've seen that routine quite often, haven't we? Oh, not quite as.
I bet that felt good.
Yeah, that did. Yeah.
Lots of room.
Well, Jeff will take home $40,000 from this particular event, but he wanted the 60 like they all do.
No. Yep. Whoa.
The big game was the semifinal game, of course. It went from 15,000 to 40,000. That's a big spread.
Whatever. Nose would be nice.
Nose, yeah, it would be nice.
Just get one of them.
Tight.
He won't be inside. He won't be wrecking on any guard.
Try to nose it, but I won't be anywhere near that other one.
Final stone. In 9, Kevin Martin.
Oh. Yes! Hard. Well, clean.
That's good.
Ah, boy.
Sit right there. He does.
Thanks, Jeff.
And that's it. And congratulations to Kevin Martin, who defends his FlexiCoil championship. And he'll take home $60,000.
Well, a sigh of relief, a great bonspiel. Good effort by Kevin Martin's team, especially in these playoffs, and that's a resounding win in the final.
And as preparation for the Olympic curling trials in 2 weeks, he has to be feeling good about himself and his team. Winners for the 2nd straight year of the FlexiCoil
Maddie, hi, Nick.
Curling Classic.